Imagine two people, same age, same income, same starting point. One of them retires at 55, travels the world, and never checks their bank balance with anxiety again. The other is still grinding at 70, wondering where all those years of paychecks disappeared to. The difference between them was not luck, and it was not a lottery ticket. The difference was one simple decision that the first person made early in life. They stopped letting their money sit still, and they put it to work. Today, we are going to break down exactly what that means, how it works, and how you can start doing it no matter where you are right now financially. Most Americans have been taught, directly or indirectly, that the responsible thing to do with money is to save it. Park it in a savings account, do not touch it, and feel proud of yourself for having discipline. And while saving is absolutely better than spending everything you earn, it is not enough, not even close. The average high-yield savings account today offers somewhere around 4 to 5% interest, and while that sounds decent, inflation historically runs at around 2 to 3% annually. That means the real growth your idle cash is experiencing is modest at best. If your money is just sitting in a traditional checking account earning next to nothing, inflation is quietly eating away at its purchasing power every single day. This is why the concept of making your money work for you is not just financial jargon. It is a survival strategy. So what does it actually mean to put your money to work? At its core, it means deploying your dollars into assets that generate more dollars without requiring you to trade additional hours of your time. Time is your most finite resource, and the entire goal of wealth building is to eventually reach a point where your money generates income independently of your labor. This is called passive income, and it is the foundation of financial freedom. The vehicles through which you can achieve this range from the stock market to real estate, from index funds to dividend-paying equities, from bonds to business ownership. Each of these has its own risk profile, time horizon, and return potential, and understanding how they fit together is what separates people who build wealth from people who merely earn a paycheck. The single most powerful concept underpinning all of this is compound interest. Albert Einstein reportedly called it the eighth wonder of the world, and while historians debate whether he actually said that, the math itself is undeniable. Compound interest means you earn returns not just on your original investment, but on the returns that investment has already generated. If you invest $10,000 at an average annual return of 8%, which is roughly the long-term historical average of the S&P 500, you will have about $21,000 after 10 years without adding a single additional dollar. After 30 years, that same $10,000 becomes over $100,000. The secret ingredient is time, and this is precisely why starting early is so critical. Every year you wait is not just a year of potential gains lost. It is a year of compound growth on top of compound growth that you will never get back. Now, one of the most accessible and tax-advantaged ways Americans can start putting their money to work is through employer-sponsored retirement accounts, most commonly the 401k. If your employer offers a 401k with a matching contribution and you are not taking full advantage of that match, you are essentially turning down free money. A typical employer match might be 50 cents on every dollar you contribute, up to 6% of your salary. That is an instant 50% return on that portion of your investment before the market even does anything. For 2025, the IRS allows you to contribute up to $23,000 annually to a 401k if you are under 50, and an additional $7,500 in catch-up contributions if you are over 50. These contributions reduce your taxable income today, meaning you are building wealth and lowering your tax bill at the same time. Beyond the 401k, the individual retirement account, or IRA, is another essential tool. You have two main options here, the traditional IRA and the Roth IRA. With a traditional IRA, your contributions may be tax-deductible now, but you pay taxes when you withdraw in retirement. With a Roth IRA, you contribute after-tax dollars today, but your money grows tax-free, and qualified withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. For most younger earners who expect to be in a higher tax bracket later in life, the Roth IRA is an extraordinarily powerful wealth-building tool. The IRS sets income limits for Roth IRA eligibility, so it is worth checking whether you qualify. But if you do, maxing out a Roth IRA every year should be near the top of your financial priority list. Once your tax-advantaged accounts are humming along, The next layer of wealth building involves taxable brokerage accounts where you can invest in index funds, ETFs, and individual stocks. Index funds, in particular, have been championed by legendary investors like Warren Buffett as the most reliable long-term investment for the average person. An index fund simply tracks a broad market index, like the S&P 500, which represents the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the United States. When you invest in an S&P 500 index fund, you are buying a tiny piece of 500 companies simultaneously, which gives you instant diversification. You are not betting on any single stock. You are betting on the American economy as a whole. Historically, that bet has rewarded patient investors with average annual returns of around 10% before inflation. Low-cost funds from providers like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab charge expense ratios as low as 3 to 5 basis points, meaning almost every dollar of your return stays in your pocket. Real estate is another powerful wealth-building vehicle that Americans have used for generations. Owning property creates wealth in two distinct ways: appreciation, meaning the property increases in value over time, and cash flow, meaning rental income exceeds your mortgage and expenses. Even if you are not ready to buy a rental property outright, you can gain exposure to real estate through real estate investment trusts, commonly called REITs. REITs are companies that own income-producing real estate and are required by law to distribute at least 90% of their taxable income to shareholders as dividends. This means you can invest in commercial real estate, apartment complexes, or industrial properties from your brokerage account with as little as a few $100s. Here is something that often gets overlooked when people talk about putting their money to work: the role of debt in the equation. Not all debt is created equal. High-interest consumer debt, particularly credit card debt with rates often exceeding 20% APR, is essentially the opposite of investing. Every dollar you owe at 20% interest is costing you more than the market is likely earning you. Before aggressively investing beyond your employer's 401k match, financial advisors broadly agree that eliminating high-interest debt should take priority. Your FICO credit score also plays a role here. A higher score unlocks lower interest rates on mortgages and other loans, which over a 30-year mortgage can translate to tens of thousands of dollars in savings. Managing debt intelligently is not the boring part of financial planning. It is a core component of making your money work more efficiently. Another concept worth understanding is dollar cost averaging, or DCA. This strategy involves investing a fixed dollar amount at regular intervals, say $500 every month, into an index fund, regardless of whether the market is up or down. When prices are low, your fixed amount buys more shares. When prices are high, it buys fewer. Over time, this smooths out the volatility of market timing and prevents the psychological mistake of trying to buy at the perfect moment. Study after study has shown that time in the market beats timing the market for the overwhelming majority of investors. DCA is the disciplined, consistent strategy that removes emotion from the equation and keeps your wealth-building engine running on autopilot. Diversification is the final pillar of a well-functioning wealth-building strategy, and it deserves its own moment here. The old saying of not putting all your eggs in one basket exists for a reason. A properly diversified portfolio might include domestic stocks through an S&P 500 fund, international stocks through a total international market fund, bonds through a bond index fund for stability, REITs for real estate exposure, and perhaps a small allocation to alternative assets. The exact mix depends on your age, risk tolerance, and time horizon. A 25-year-old can't afford to be more aggressive because they have decades to recover from market downturns, while someone approaching retirement needs to shift toward capital preservation. Target date funds automate this rebalancing process for you, gradually shifting from growth-oriented to conservative allocations as you approach your chosen retirement year. Here is the part that nobody tells you. The biggest barrier to putting your money to work is almost never a lack of knowledge. It is a lack of urgency. It is the very human tendency to think you will start next month, next year, or once you get that raise. But the math does not forgive delay. A 25-year-old who invests $300 a month until age 65 at an 8% average return accumulates approximately $1 million. A 35-year-old doing the exact same thing accumulates only about $440,000. 10 years of delay costs over $500,000 in final wealth. not because of less money invested, but because of less time for compounding to work its quiet, relentless magic. The path to financial freedom is not complicated, but it does require intention, consistency, and the willingness to prioritize your future self over your present comfort. Max out your 401k match. Open a Roth IRA. Invest regularly in low-cost index funds. Eliminate high-interest debt, and let compound interest do the heavy lifting over decades. The rich do not stay rich because they earn more. They stay rich because their money never stops working. Every dollar you have is either working for you or it is not. Starting today, you get to decide which one it is. Because the best time to put your money to work was yesterday, and the second best time is right now.